Ever since David Ellison took over Paramount, we've been waiting for him to show us what the plan is, other than trying to get Warner Brothers. But what's the plan? What are you doing? They announced that you were buying this thing a year and a half ago now. Like, what's the plan? And we might now have the plan. And Rob, knowing the plan apparently is half the battle, because his plan is G.I. Joe. Yes, that's right. Their big plans for the return to glory is G.I. Joe, and they're going to some peculiar and interesting names to maybe give it to them. This comes to us from IndieWire, who write the following. What does Paramount have brewing? Max Landis, who was Me Too'd, is writing a G.I. Joe treatment, and so is Danny McBride, and they're not the same one. They've got these guys developing two different G.I. Joe movies. Maybe they're just going to see which one they like the most, if either of them get made at all.
Put them both out on the same weekend.
Both come out on the same weekend. You guys pick which one you want to watch. All right, IndieWire writes the following. All eyes are on Paramount Skydance after the seismic news on Thursday that it won out in its bid over Netflix to buy Warner Brothers. So what does the studio have in the works on the film side? Among the IP that Paramount is looking to mine is G.I. Joe, and a curious name is lined up to submit a draft for a new film. Max Landis, who made, by the way, one of my favorite films of the past bunch of years in Chronicle. I love that movie. Anyway, Landis, the son of the Blues Brothers director John Landis, is the writer, speaking of which, is the writer of the found footage movie Chronicle and the Will Smith fantasy movie Bright, which I didn't like so much, but is better known for having been accused of emotional and sexual abuse back in 2019, derailing his career. 8 women accused Landis in a report in the Daily Beast that led to him being dropped by his management company, to being disavowed by one of the film's directors, and to another project falling apart. Sources told IndieWire Landis is writing a treatment for a G.I. Joe film at the studio, which last hit the screen back in 2021 with the truly awful, and it should have been awesome movie Snake Eyes, starring the great Henry Golding. I love that guy. But Landis isn't the only one trying to find a way into the IP. The Righteous Gemstone star Danny McBride is also in talks to write a completely separate treatment based on the G.I. Joe characters. All right. I have multiple feelings about this. On the one hand, do I think there is a hunger right now for a G.I. Joe movie? I don't. I really don't. I think that it's a good nostalgia play, but I really don't think people are clamoring for a G.I. Joe movie. That said, I think there is wisdom in recognizing that this is a very famous legacy IP that they own, and a shot should probably at least be taken to trying to revitalize it. So do I think there's a real hunger for G.I. Joe movie today? No, I really don't. But do I also think that, yeah, you should probably at least take a shot at it to see if you can revitalize it? Yeah, actually I do. I think this is probably the right move to at least say you tried, at least say you took a shot at it. And by the way, maybe getting 2 completely separate writers, each developing their own pitches for it and their own treatments for it, maybe that could yield some good results. I do find Max Landis' name interesting, though. I do find that interesting because, like I said, look, I can't possibly overstate this. I love Chronicle. And by the way, we've had Max Landis in our studio.
Yes, I've been on shows with him.
He came in, he spent a day in our studio one day. And listen, with regards to all the accusations about him, I can't speak to those. I wasn't there. I can neither tell you should believe them or that you shouldn't at all. All I can tell you is what my personal experience was. That's all I'm referring to. And I gotta say, my personal experience with him was very positive. I'm just telling the truth. He was a very nice guy to us. He spent a lot of time with us, joking around, having some fun. Things like that. But I cannot give commentary to any of the other stuff. I do find it interesting, though, that Paramount would roll the dice on working with him. Because let's say, for argument's sake, that he turns in the better pitch. If you're trying to revitalize G.I. Joe, do you really want the baggage to come along that will come along if Max Landis' name is attached to it? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I'm posing the question. Danny McBride being attached to it. Listen, I thought Danny McBride's name being attached to a Halloween revival was a very strange choice. And I loved that first one they did. It's my favorite Halloween movie. The first one that Danny McBride did. And so I wouldn't think of him to do a G.I. Joe film, but I wouldn't have thought of him to do a Halloween film either. And I ended up really liking that. So this is interesting. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Mando. Guys, the time for spring cleaning has come, and to be honest, I'm actually kind of looking forward to it this year. I've been busy clearing out the clutter in the studio here and getting my camper van ready for the next movie meetup trip, but I'm also incredibly excited to keep using my deodorant. You guys know that a while ago I started using Mando whole body deodorant, and it has been an absolute game changer for me. Whether I'm sitting under these hot studio lights for a long live stream or I'm out on the golf course recently. Yeah, I actually just took up golf. I need something that actually works. Mando was created by a doctor and comes from the founders of Lumi. One of the things that I love about Mando is that it's safe to use anywhere. We're talking pits, feet, and even the boys downstairs. It's clinically proven to block odor for up to 72 hours, which is honestly way better than a shower with soap alone. It doesn't just mask the smell, it stops it before it starts. Right now, you can get 20% off site-wide. Head over to shopmando.com and use my exclusive code Campea. That's shopmando.com, code Campea for 20% off. Support the show and tell them I sent you. Anyway, Rob, a lot of different angles to look at this. I mean, from just the principle in and of itself, but let's start with simply this. Is it a good idea to try to make G.I. Joe? And do you think there's an audience for it right now?
Well, I think look, again, it goes back to if it's good. Like the G.I. Joe movies have been, let's face it, I don't think any of them are high art. I thought the second one was better than the Stephen Sommers did this first one.
First one, yes.
And I kind of liked those movies. They were diversions. And I did not like Snake Eyes. And I was actually disappointed by Snake Eyes because I thought it could be cool.
I more than thought it would be cool.
Yeah.
I was convinced that movie was going to be great. It should. You had Andrew, what's Andrew's last name from Warrior? And he was in Bullet Train. Coy, not Coy. It's not Andrew Coy.
Why am I drawing a blank?
I'm going to go Coy. But anyway, so you had Koji.
Yeah.
So you had Henry Golding, who I think is awesome. You had Andrew Koji in there, perfect to play Storm Shadow. That movie should have been great, and it was a god awful mess. So, too bad.
Both, but I think that both Max Landis, look, again, like you, I have to second what you said. I had a delightful experience with him. He's a big fan of the genre. I love his video he did on that long extended video he did on Superman. And,
that's one of the iconic YouTube videos.
Yeah, absolutely really is. And he was very complimentary of a movie that I'd made. And also, I really love his mom, Deborah Nadoolman, who was the costume designer on Raiders of the Lost Ark, in addition to many other things, who I did a wonderful interview with on this channel. She's amazing. So, and I've liked his work. People complain about the movie Bright.
I got to admit, I wasn't a big fan of it.
So, but I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was a big swing, like bringing
I agree with that.
A fantasy context. And I thought that the controversy over Max himself affected people's perceptions of that movie. Because I was like, there's a lot of cool stuff in here, and obviously he's a huge genre fan, and I'm willing to bet that his take on G.I. Joe will be a worthy one. So I'd be interested to hear what he comes up with. But the same is true of Danny McBride. I'm a big fan. I mean, The Righteous Gemstones
so funny.
Is so good. And I'll tell you something. I watched This Is the End.
I love that movie.
That movie is great. It is. That movie does not get enough love, and Danny McBride is great in it. And I kind of miss. I know Dave Franco has been kind of not Dave, but James Franco has been excommunicated. Yeah. Dave Franco and Alison Brie are great, but has been excommunicated. But This Is the End is one of my favorite comedies of the last 10 years. It's that because it's got everybody in it. Everybody is in that movie. And it's like the Avengers of 21st century comedy. So, I don't know. I'm hoping that whatever they come up with, I kind of like this idea of a bake-off. You know, they did that with Star Trek Generations, actually. Maurice Hurley had an idea for Star Trek Generations. And but look, as long as it leads to us getting a good G.I. Joe movie, I'm all for it.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think about this? Apparently, Paramount is looking at getting a G.I. Joe project going, and they've got Max Landis and Danny McBride each developing concepts for it. Really interesting names that I would not have guessed. Anyway, whatever you guys think about this, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show Podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.